hands curled into fists. Fists that had caused the spy's current wounds. Were Cora kinder and softer, she'd have felt bad for the old man's condition. But she was neither kind nor soft where spies from Narun were concerned. Not after the unsettling rumors her own spies had uncovered. According to their intel, the kingdom of Narun had recently formed an alliance with Cirrus, the very kingdom she feared more than any other. For Cirrus was home to an enemy she hoped she'd never meet. King Darius Solaria, father of Morkai, seeker of the Fey realm. A realm she'd been to just over 7 months ago, and now held valuable secrets about. Captain Alden spoke again. "Why has Narun taken such an interest in Cora?" The spy scoffed. "Sudden? I'd hardly call it sudden. Narun isn't easy to forgive, and your kingdom is responsible for the death of Prince Helios." Cora bristled at the accusation. Retorts roared inside her, but she held them back with a tightening of her jaw. She wasn't here to argue with the prisoner, only to gather information. Still, she was losing patience with Narun's insistence that Cora was to blame for Helios Dorsus's death. The prince may have died in her kingdom last spring after being devoured by Morkai's Roizen, but Cora and her allies had gone to great lengths to refute any association with the former duke and denounce every action he'd taken in the name of Cora. Besides, Helios had hardly been innocent. She'd witnessed his demise firsthand and hadn't been sorry to see him go. Helios had been in the process of trying to kill Teryn when the Roizen attacked, and before that, he'd intended to carve a unicorn's horn from its head while it was still alive. No, Cora felt no remorse where Prince Helios was concerned. She couldn't even muster a flicker of sympathy for his grieving father, King Isphius of Narun. Yet she wanted none of the blame for what had happened to the prince and resented that she bore all of it. Why Narun was only blaming Cora and not Soleil was beyond her. Helios had only come to Cora because of Mareleau's heart's hunt. Perhaps it was because Cora was the easier target and closer to Narun's borders. Meanwhile, Soleil was no longer just Soleil. It was now Vera, a kingdom forged from Soleil's formal merging with Mina. Compared to Vera, Cora was small and vulnerable, without the support of trade allies across the sea and in other continents. "Does Narun seek retribution on Cora?" Captain Alden asked. The prisoner shrugged, the move stunted by his bindings. "Like I said, I'm just a spy. I gather specific information and share it with my masters. I'm not privy to Narun's secrets." The man's emotions contracted inside Cora, tightening like a fist in her gut. They contradicted the nonchalance on the man's face. "He's lying," she said through her teeth. "He knows so much more than he's saying." The captive's crooked, half-swollen gaze shot toward her. A corner of his bruised mouth flicked up. "Is this by chance the young queen?" Cora's breath caught. She stood in shadow near the cell door, the hood of a plain gray cloak pulled low over her forehead. Yet the spy had surmised her identity. Had it simply been a reckless guess? Or was it obvious? She was suddenly aware of her poise, the lift of her chin, the way she held her arms easily at her sides. They were habits she'd picked up over the last several months since her coronation. Habits she'd developed as a front, a way to radiate the regality she didn't feel. Yet she'd come to don them with ease now, slipping into them like a second skin. Alden angled her body to intercept the prisoner's stare. "You forget who's doing the questioning." "Ah, I see. You'll have to forgive me." His confidence seeped into Cora, sending chills down her spine. He was the 4th Narunian spy who'd been captured on her lands, yet he was by far the boldest. The others had stayed mute through the questioning and had ultimately lost their lives. But how many others might have slipped through?